First, I'd like to introduce you to the JMP 1000 class. These are students in the Introduction to Journalism and Mass Media. And you were in their seats not too long ago. So
yes, for sure.
Inviting recent graduates to let us know a little bit about, what does the work life look like now, and if in a communications kind of role, and how you got there. So I'll just let you take it away.
Yeah, definitely. Hi, everyone. Like Steve said, I go by Kat or Catherine, either or. I graduated a couple years ago. It's crazy. It kind of flew by. I mean, I graduated the summer of 2020 when everything was super, super wild. So, yeah, so I currently am the social media and communications coordinator for Catholic Charities. And I just recently got that role about a month ago. Prior to that, I was a shelter supervisor over at one of our shelters. So I kind of just worked my way up. I was promoted a couple times, and now I can work strictly, basically remote, which is nice. Whereas a shelter associate, I was really working 60-hour weeks in the shelter, so it was a lot more strenuous. So yeah, my day-to-day is kind of different all the time. I really do a lot with the marketing department with Catholic Charities. I help our PR lead. I help our VP of marketing, some of our development team too. And basically what our purpose is for just all around our marketing team is to create the donor relationships, volunteer relationships. So it's a lot different in a nonprofit world. Yeah, so I actually really got introduced in the nonprofit world when I was at Metro. I had so many great connections, ones that I wish I took more advantage of, but have really helped me succeed in being in a nonprofit now. And I think I'll always be a nonprofit because of my experience at Metro. I highly encourage you guys all to go into the route, if you're going into the route of PR, to take the PR lab class. One of the best classes I've ever taken. It was so rewarding, so hard, so taxing. You had to work with strictly a group of 4 all semester, and that was a really, really great learning experience, because my team now is about 6, and that's all the marketing department, and we heavily communicate with each other all the time. Even sometimes at 10:30 p.m., we got to get a press release out. So it's real life stuff, which is awesome. And I really I was called to do nonprofit work because of my work with Meg Foundation, which was the nonprofit that was chosen for us for PR Lab. And then I actually went on to help the Make-A-Wish Foundation for my internship in the summer of 2020. Which really, that's exactly what I do now, is what I was doing with Make-A-Wish. Basically just working less hours a week, but I was scheduling social media posts, I was writing content, I was getting connected with donors and volunteer relations. And I think that job really got me into this position now, and it will help, it'll help me just leverage my way into the marketing and the communications world past the coordinator position. So I still even use sometimes my old content. I had a social media strategy that I used for Make-A-Wish, and I really even look at that now because some of the trends are similar. It was right at the beginning of COVID, so there were a lot of safety measures that we had to put in place for Make-A-Wish, which was hard, especially with all these kids not being able to travel, and we had to work really closely with some of the families that often and that couldn't get their wishes fulfilled. And that's still happening now with our shelters. A lot of the times we would have kids from our shelters go out into the community, and the marketing team would, help hold their hands through that, but we aren't able to do that now. So it's just a really good time now to really take advantage of all of the trends that are going on with doing any sort of communications. I bet there's been so many trials and errors that you guys have done, trials with journalism classes yourself, Steve, where you worked with specific clients or you just saw what a specific company was doing with the COVID response. And just a really, really good time for you guys. This is a prime era for communication, I believe.
Yeah, yeah. So it's it's interesting. You started out as a shelter supervisor and worked your way up. When you decided to take that role at Catholic Charities, was the plan all along to move from that into a communications role? And did your boss know that, or what was the process there?
Yeah, so I actually, when I got my position as the shelter supervisor, that was kind of in the interview. It was like I was wanting to get up into the marketing department. But I actually had like 7 roles with this shelter supervisor. I was doing communications for them as well as working on their social medias and a weekly newsletter. So I was already creating content for them. So that was a really great spot for me to just, I kind of sat in my interview and I said, hey, I'm willing to take this on in order to move up. So I kind of took it upon myself. It wasn't on the job description, but I mean, for nonprofits, they'll take any help they can get. So like I said, I did about 7 different roles, and I really was just, I stood out to, I think, to the all the people that are up, and the CEO even contacted me and was really wanting to be on this team. So the senior leadership team took notice. And so that was a really great part. And now I'm able to go into shelters and really understand what kind of trauma people are facing, because I was in it for 7 months and saw what a shelter is like. So I think I really highly encourage everybody to work in nonprofits for their first job, just because you learn to be so multifaceted, because they're usually at a skeleton crew. I mean, at my last position, it was a quarter staffed the entire time, maybe. And so I was doing a lot of different things, and it taught me to just, help out wherever you can help out. And, it's a really good, just a learning experience for different things and how to just be a team player.
Yeah. So are there any questions from the students? Hi, Savannah.
Yeah, that's right.
Hello.
Hi, Savannah.
Anybody have questions?
I actually didn't have a question. I just was saying hi.
Oh,
Okay.
hi there.
All right. So I have a couple of follow-up questions. So I meant to, when I introduced you, talk a bit about what Catholic Charities does. Can you tell us, what is, who shows up at a Catholic Charities shelter? What are some of the things that Catholic Charities does?
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, I mean, the name Catholic Charities kind of threw me off at the beginning too, just because, so there's some political beliefs that I don't really align with Catholic Charities, but they do so much more than, the Catholic teachings. They are, they do shelter, they help with immigration status, they help with people that are even, diapers. People are in diaper disparity or need, food. There's food banks everywhere. So for where my shelter was prior, I'll just give you a little background info, because there's so many different things that Catholic Charities does. And Steve, they helped you with the adoption process. Mm-hmm. So cool. We'll have to talk about that. So yeah, Mirasol Homes was a women and children's home these women were fleeing domestic violence situations. So we helped them with 3 meals a day. We helped them get a education. We had programming classes. We offered childcare 3 hours a day, so the moms were able to get some of these things done. Just a safe house, and so they're not staying in an abusive relationship and they're not homeless. And a lot of times, I mean, the women weren't, addicts or anything. They just were in really tough situations. Sometimes they were, so it was a sober living environment, but I think that really encouraged people to stay sober for their children. It was a really neat experience, though.
Yeah, excellent. And while you were doing that, as you said, you were wearing a lot of different hats, and it sounded like your content creation skills came in handy. Writing, do you do photos and videos too, or what are some of the things you do for content?
Yeah, everything in between. I actually just finished up a client story of a woman who just celebrated her 1 year of sobriety. And I took some pictures and some video, some content for that. And I was able to, I'm able to publish that. So that's under my name, which is really awesome. We do stuff like that. I also go out in the community about 3 times a week to some of our shelters. Samaritan House, I don't know if anyone's heard of Samaritan House. It's right downtown, like 21st and Lawrence. And so I usually go over there and I do a lot of, because that's an overnight shelter, there's a lot of good stories down there. And so I try to just get out in the community as much as possible. I also am constantly on social media. I mean, that's the one thing with, I think everybody knows it now by now. You don't really have time off if you're running a social media account, even if it's your own. So yeah, I'm always checking in and I'm always even putting content on there. And then as for our newsletters, I just put out, happenings that's going around Catholic Charities and what work we're doing and what kind of cool stuff was going on around the organization.
Where was that story published, the one you referred to?
It's on the Catholic Charities website, but hopefully, I mean, in the next couple months, we have a Beacon of Hope event that will probably be published somewhere in 9 News because we have a really close connection with them. So I also really heavily use my PR background. We have times where, media outlets will come out to us and be like, hey, what are you guys doing for Thanksgiving? And it'll be the day before. And so we'll have to just like kind of scramble and get, news outlets into one of our shelters. And so we can just get good coverage there. So we have a really cool event coming up. It's the Black 14 event. And that's going to be a really awesome media outlet event because it's just a good story. It's 14 Black men from BYU were expelled and for being people of color. And so they were able to come back later in forgiveness and are now collaborating with the Mormon Church in order to get the food bank put together for Thanksgiving. So that's going to be happening the next couple weeks. I'm always just trying to see what's going on in Denver. I've got Google alerts on all the time. So it's really keeping your eyes open for the stories.
All right. One last shot for the students if you have any questions. Okay, one final question then from me is, what do you like about what you're doing? What makes you get up in the morning for this job?
Definitely the most fulfilling part of the job is seeing our work come to life. So just for instance, I was at a coffee shop the other day with a couple of my coworkers, and we were just talking about, collaborating for future events and stuff like that. So we had an employee of this coffee shop who was kind of overhearing what we were talking about, and he jumped in, and he's about 21 years old and was like, I just had to jump in. I've been working 4 jobs. My girlfriend's pregnant and we don't know how we're going to be able to support them. And we were talking about all this stuff with diaper donations and, food that we are able to, formula we're able to provide. And it was just a really cool moment to just connect the dots and know that we'll be able to help him when this baby does come. And just like seeing people, like I built a really good, strong relationship with a lot of our residents experiencing homelessness, and just seeing the children light up whenever they see me, or just being able to talk to people and not feeling like it's awkward to get a story out of them, which I felt like I was just in college. I think I was just a little bit more reserved, and so getting stories was super hard for me because I felt like I was putting people out. But more than likely people are willing to share, and they're really, if you're able to be open and listening there, it's a really good opportunity to just create relationships. And being able to raise money, I mean, we raised, oh my gosh, over the past month, just from strictly social media alone, we raised $30,000. And so that's an amazing tactical thing that I've done in the past month in my position. So
excellent. So you're keeping track of the donations that come in through social media.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's powerful. That's really good.
Yep. And I really love seeing the analytics of it all too. Just seeing where you started and how things have grown since then. It's a really good way to just, keep yourself accountable. So that's also one of my favorite parts of the job as well.
Yeah, seeing the impact that you're having. Excellent.
Yes, definitely, definitely.
Well, I'll let you go. I really appreciate you spending time with us and letting us know what your day is like these days. And sounds like you're doing great work. So proud of you.
Oh, thank you so much, Steve. I really appreciate everything you did to get me here. So, yeah, you guys are very lucky to be in this program. There's a lot of great professors, a lot of great guest speakers that come in that, you know, they've got great connections. So just take advantage of them as much as you can, including like Met Media is a really great connection too. Just build your portfolios up.
Yeah.
You'll be set. You'll be set.
Good. Thanks for that advice.
Of course.
I'll let you go. Thank you.
All right. Best of luck, everyone. Thanks, Steve.
Bye.